You are now listening to Akashic Knowledge for Spiritual Growth and Transformation. Your host along this journey, Pleiades.
Conscience will never make us guilty. It will never convict us or make us wrong. Conscience will only edify and guide us towards the highest path. Conscience will guide us towards empathy and compassion. And conscience will guide us towards introspection and retrospection, and maybe even a form of spiritual remorse where we can feel a sense of seeking forgiveness from ourself or another based on knowing that we may have caused some type of harm. But the conviction that people think the conscience is doing isn't really the conscience. It is actually the mafia of the mind, and that is the individual expression of the same type of governments that all people are living under, unless there is some government that I'm unaware of now that is really functioning without this mob mentality that makes one particular view and approach and one model right, and any other model that deviates from that main narrative and model has to be wrong, false, dangerous, misinformation, or some type of expression that doesn't uphold true democracy and a true republic and a true liberty. And that is what our conscience and our soul is looking to establish. That's why the great experiment of America was even started in the first place, so that we can allow our individual sovereignty and individual liberty to unite with that of the liberty and the will of others, and create a flourishing utopia and a more perfect union. So we have unity consciousness. We set this up to become a more perfect unity consciousness. And when we say that, it means 1111. It means one and a one and a one and a one. There's so many ones. But all of these ones are many, and they're all one. That is one of the symbols that 1111 stands for.
That's beautiful, man. Received fully, for real. That's very accurate, man. Everything you said, and that breaking down of 1111 for sure is definitely refreshing to hear. And yeah, like placing basically the people's ability to govern themselves based upon the drive of their own sovereignty, like you said, that is essentially like the key to establishing a utopian like society, is to allow each individual to govern themselves. And America has been like pretty much the closest thing to this in the modern world, worldwide. You know what I'm saying? Having each person have their own, like, because we are like, as much as people love to complain about what it's like here, bro, we got it better than just about anywhere else in the world. We can really do whatever the fuck we want with like very little restraint. And yeah, it's very much recognizing the where the principles of this nation were founded originally, and what truth they held to them, and where over time we began to deviate from them into the state that we currently find ourselves, where we're not totally out of touch with the origination of this nation, but we're not totally in touch with it. You know what I'm saying? It is most definitely deviated over time, and it's like recognizing where we originally started to even have context of where we've deviated from, to recognize where we need to go to be able to build a utopian like society, for sure.
Yeah, and it was started by magicians, and that is one of the things I believe we wanted to speak about, so we can unite these concepts here, because we're talking about liberty right now, and liberty is our free will, and liberty is love, and the reason we know this is because you can't do anything for love unless it's your free will, unless it's liberated and willing. So there's no love without liberty and will. And now liberty and will are the two components that we use for magic. There's many components for magic, but will is the vision, the deep vision that it's beyond vision, but we'll use that word for our purposes. Will is you could call it desire, but it's even beyond desire. It's you could call it even lust, but it's beyond lust. Even all of those words are great words, but the will is really the animating force of our whole existence. We wouldn't be here now, alive, doing anything. This hand wouldn't move. Nothing could occur without the will animating all creation. And so you have will, and then you have liberty, and that is the freedom, the unbounded usage of this will. And this can cause some fear for people when they hear concepts like this, because some people automatically, their mind goes to, well, if people can just do whatever they want to and have liberty to do whatever, then they may attempt to hurt others with that liberty and with that will. And that is why understanding love in combination with these must be cultivated. Love is doing unto others as we would have them do unto ourselves, and having an empathic relationship with others, giving an attention to others as ourselves in unity. And so that there's no real magic without this love. Now relating to our forefathers and builders of this country, we have people like Benjamin Franklin and Benjamin Banneker, who some have said are the same person. And there's ample evidence to say that they are the same person. There's also evidence to say that they're not the same person. But whatever the case is, these two personalities, Benjamin Banneker being attributed to come from the Dogon tribe in Africa, and had his lineage connected to that, but not necessarily through slavery. It's not necessarily slavery that brought the indigenous, dark-skinned, nappy-headed people to the Americas. It's a great possibility that we have been here all along. There's a plethora of proofs for that as well. And so you have Benjamin Banneker, who designed Washington, D.C.'s layout according to astronomical correspondences, according to celestial alignments. And you have these almanacs that were produced by Benjamin Franklin and Benjamin Banneker, astrological almanacs, where there was an image in this almanac that had correspondences of the zodiac to different parts of the body. Now, in these almanacs, there was an image used, and it was the same image in Benjamin Franklin's almanac and in Benjamin Banneker's almanac. And it's the only time the image was ever used. And so that's one of the connecting factors to those two people. But that was one of the first places in America that you would see the Babylonian or the Sumerian astrology correspondences of the zodiac lined up with the human body, and it's the same exact image and drawing. And so you have people like this who are the founding fathers of America. Some even say Benjamin Banneker is the 13th person on the back of a $2 bill. If you look, there's a dark-skinned person. You could call them a Moor or melanated or Black, even though that word has its own legal connotations and psychic connotations that may not provide us the best usage. So America was started by people who had a connection and a knowledge of magic. And do we always get it right? Do I get everything right or make all the proper decisions and implements with my magic and with my will? There can be argued, yes, that everything is the right happening, but it can also be argued that there's times when I could have had more understanding, more wisdom applied to what I'm doing. And that is why a lot of times people who have magic or occult understanding or even just self-improvement understanding, things that can help their lives or others, they still have potential to make decisions that can be harmful. And that doesn't mean that the person is bad or wrong. And other people can make those same decisions, and groups can form together who are making these decisions, and eventually things can get out of control. And through cultivating different philosophies and ways of looking at life through spectacles of fear, people use the magic to create like the Wizard of Oz. I made a post about it just recently. So this is a good example of how the Wizard of Oz is a magician who creates a great magical scenes and shows that people invest their confidence and their faith and their energy and their belief in. And through this belief is how his power is maintained as as the great Wizard of Oz. And so what is powering the Wizard of Oz? Belief. And what's another way to say belief? Imagination. Imagination. We have that word magi, mage inside of imagination. And that is the magic that we are all using at every moment. Anything that's happening is being processed and filtered through our imagination. It's not necessarily imaginary, but all is imagination. So all is actually a magical display taking place, and the words we speak and the way we paint these pictures is what casts the spell for either the benefit or the detriment of self and others. I know I just spoke for a long time.
Yo, it has been fully received, brother. That's absolutely powerful to imagine that really what we are living as an experience is just this cosmic magic spectacle. Like I know Alan Watts would always say it's like this cosmic play, and you could really think of it as like, and this will bring us into like hermeticism a little bit, understanding like that all is an infinite living mind. We live in a universe that is not even just outside of our universe. All the layers of existence is just an infinite living mind that is just like the mind that we got rocking, but it's infinite in its ability to manifest because of the vibration that it resides at is the highest vibration. There is nothing higher than it. You can't subtract from the all. You can't add to the all. You can't divide from the all. You can't multiply the all. It is all that there is. So there's no time delay between manifestations, meaning that the only reason that there's a time delay, from my understanding, is when you imagine something in the physical plane, you are creating it in a higher vibrational plane, and you have to then give it energy, which is where the belief and the willpower, really the willpower, comes into sending that thought form that you've just created, sending it the energy that it needs to traverse the vibration to become physically manifest. Because something in a higher plane of existence is higher vibrational. So to get into a lower vibrational plane, it's gonna overcome resistance, and it needs energy of momentum to overcome that resistance to become physically manifest. And that's where the willpower comes into play. And that right there is really understanding how everything works. You know what I'm saying? Like how everything exists in our world, to really see that on an infinitely large scale. Really every single fucking thing, from the beating of your heart to a leaf falling down from a tree to galaxies being born and dying. You know what I'm saying? It's all the same cosmic forces. It's basically just a cosmic dream. We're witnessing miracles every single day, because miracles, what we define as miracles, is really just from the frame of reference of the individual making the statement. Like somebody, like, you think of this all the time. Like imagine 200 years ago, they see our cell phones, they see our fucking cars just driving without you having to push them. They're like, God, that's a miracle. That's outside of anything I've ever experienced. That's a whole miracle. And then 100, 200, 300 years from now, we'll have people fucking levitate. Who the fuck knows? You know what I'm saying? We can only speculate. We gonna say that that's miracles, when in reality, it's just their commonplace. So really the term miracle itself, and understanding that, is really just relative, depending upon the frame of reference. And understanding these principles, understanding that not only is it something that you could tap into and you can utilize to apply basically anything, manifest anything that you really want to see happen in your life, and orchestrate your life holding to this wisdom. Not only is that something that's possible, but it becomes more practical and accessible, and something that you could really like believe and feel when you recognize that the entire way that our world works is through these forces and the manifestation of a higher intelligence and stuff like that. But before we get any deeper, we did skip an introduction. We just got we got right into this shit. So I just want to, first of all, we're already well into the podcast, but greetings, friends, family from all throughout the multiverse. I'm joined with my brother Illuminati Congo, John Hooks, with Akashic Knowledge Podcast number 8. So how are you feeling, brother? If you want to give the people who, for those who don't already know who you are, a little introduction, a little bit about yourself before we get back down the rabbit hole, you know what I'm saying?
I'm feeling grateful. I'm feeling it all. Whatever comes, I'm feeling it and letting it go. I'm Illuminati Congo. That's to affirm our illumination, our natural illumination, and to represent for Nati Congo, for Rasta. And so that's pretty much what it is. I make music, write books, and share breath work, and do a lot of other things. Them things is just a bonus to icing on the cake of being, because being is really the place to be.
Yo, quite literally, man. Like, the most liberating element towards, the most liberating realization that I've personally made in this life is really just that we're really not here to do anything at all. We're here to just exist. And by doing so much, is when we start to get lost and detached and separated and distanced from our true essential nature, which is realized when you just being in stillness, being with yourself, recognizing that all of the, like we were saying, all the manifestations of this reality are originated within source. Everything comes from source. If you take any particle in this universe it's the whole universe. Sorry, go ahead, bro.
It's always, it's always source at all, no matter what. It's like, it not only does it come from source, it always is source.
Exactly.
Wherever you go in the all, it's the all. You can't get away from the all. You can't take a piece out of the all and it's not the all. A piece of the all is the all. A piece of the hologram is the hologram. So we are one with the one. And it's the great perfection, the innate great perfection that has always been and always shall be. Every element, every happening, every relationship is the one. It is source. And it's in these various displays, either for us to learn the one, if we're still learning and ripening, or it's in the various displays for us to play with the one after we've ripened to a certain extent. But it's all for play. Even the learning, the best way to learn is with play. So if you start playing with the one and start playing as the one, then it's just like swift. You're there. Some people start as just playing with the one. They don't play as the one, and they get there. They get to the one, and it just takes a little time, a little more time. But what is time? Because time is still the one. So, in this great imagination and this great magic that we all are, which is the one. That is the very nature of this existence, is magical display. magical displays everywhere. And a magician knows this. A magician sees the magical displays and knows it as magic. The people in the audience at a magic show, though, they don't know that what the magician is doing is just an illusion. They believe that it's really happening. I mean, there's for our story, for the analogy's sake, you know, little kids watching a magic show might believe that there's some actual thing taking place, when in actuality, the magician knows that it's just an illusion that he's making happen. And if we all could know illusion and not fight illusion, illusion is the funnest shit about this experience.
It's
illusion
really what the experience is that when you recognize that we're not just we're not a part of source, we are source. And source in truth is all that there is to existence. There is no positive, there is no negative. The only thing that truly in actuality absolutely exists is neutrality. And the positive and negative are illusions. They're illusionary projections of unity. So the entire nature of our reality is illusion. So to understand illusion is to understand Maya, is to understand what we're experiencing. You know, and that's where the true power comes.
Right, and to understand that is to have fun with Maya. You know, she could be your mom, and you could be like, yo, illusion takes care of me. She could be your lady, and be like, yo, me and illusion, we be having the best sex ever. You could be like, you know, illusion, that's my sister, you know. I hold her down. I make sure to take care of her. It could be your daughter, you know what I'm saying? You could have illusion you could have a relationship with Maya that is beneficial for you, instead of make life is a bitch. You know, like people be saying, you know, life's a bitch and then you die. Well, that's the illusion that you've chosen to say, and that's how you've chosen to approach Maya. So as illustrators, as illusionists, we're illustrators. This is a point I make in my book, Synchronistic Phonetomology. It's one of my most favorite points to make, is that all illusions are just illustrations, and they're just stories telling what's in someone else's mind or your mind. There would be no story if there was no mind. There would be no illusion if there was no mind. As soon as there's mind, as soon as there's a thought, there is illusion. And as soon as there's a word, as soon as one word is spoken, it's illusion. It's a deviation from the truth. Does that mean it's wrong or bad? No. Because they can be ladders or guides or pointers to the truth. But to mistake any word or thought or concept as the truth is delusion. When you know you're an illusionist, and when you know this whole thing is a magical display, then no one can get over on you with an illusion, because it's all illusion, and it's all just an illustration, either from their mind or from your mind. Whoever's mind is making this illustration. So some people buy into the illustrations of others. They buy deep into the stories and the authorship and the authorityship of others. They buy into it with their beliefs, and they become energy conduits for that magic of another person's belief. Now, that's okay if you want to give your energy currency to strengthen someone. I give my strength to your belief that you will make all the money that is required for you for all of your life. I give strength to the belief that you can heal whatever comes up in you. And it's all illusion because there's no coming up. There's no you. There's no sickness. None of that is real. But I recognize these stories and these illustrations as either what stories do I want to read? Well, obviously I want to read a story of me being here because I'm here. So obviously I want a story of you being here because you're here, and all of my relations. So I allow myself to read those stories and take in those stories. And anything in those stories that seems like another could use strength for what their true will is looking to paint on their canvas, I will offer the currency of my attention and my imagination for that. Magic is defined as the ability to bring about the most positive change, the most lasting and positive change. And magic is defined as liberty. And so this is the goal for me, is to utilize my attention and imagination and will to paint the pictures that most support me, all of my relations, all humanity, and to also be able to receive the illustrations of others without judgment, and to strengthen their path and their endeavors towards their true will, which is their magic. So strengthening another's magic is our magic. It strengthens our magic to strengthen another's magic.
Absolutely, man. It's something that you said that was very many of the things you said were very vital, but one of which, and I'm gonna touch up on, is basically like recognizing that all of these experiences that we witness are because of a consensual illustration, or a consent to the illustration. Essentially recognizing that all of the unfoldings of our reality that we perceive are due to us conforming within the belief in its existence. So that goes right back to what we even started talking about, is the belief, like recognizing where your belief goes and what illustrations you give energy towards. And for sure, you giving energy towards somebody else's illustration corresponding to them being brought back to their highest path, being brought back to their journey to source, that in doing so brings you closer towards your journey as well. Like, they say like one of the best ways to learn is to teach. You know what I'm saying? Because every one of us is a teacher and a learner at the same time. You ain't never, if you just cut yourself off to one of those, then you're just you're basically settling your potential. We have the capacity to constantly learn and constantly teach at the same time. So the more that you teach, and it ain't really teaching because everyone knows everything, it's just they forgot it when they came into this body. So it's like reminding people, what they already know is bringing you towards another perspective of the truth to explain it to them. And that goes into like, you allowing somebody to bring themselves back to truth on their own individual journey. Their individual journey and path is going to be unique from your own. So by you helping that path, that's almost like you finding truth in another one of your separate incarnations. You're
Right.
gaining the life experience of witnessing their traversing on their unique path back to source. And everyone's path is unique. There ain't no, this person's doing it faster, this person's doing it slower, this person's better, this person's right, this person's not, this person's slower. It's just a matter of recognizing that, like we said, time is the all. It's infinite. You don't run out of time. Everyone eventually returns to source.
And we can even see it as going forward to source, from source to source, because there's no back. There's it just
straight up,
just in a change of the concept. That's all. Once again, these are all just illusions. So we can say it in any way, and there's no right way to say it. There's the point that we are looking to get across. And by using these words in different ways, sometimes ways that are contradictory and paradoxical to the last sentence we just said, is very helpful and valuable for making points to understand the one or the beyond one, because even that word can set up a limiting concept in one's mind, because for there to be one, there must be something that is outside of this one, and then that means there's two. So relating forward to the word illusion, no, what is the root of illustration and illusion? It's ilu. Ilu means light. It's related to the word Elo and Elohim, and which means God and light. And another name for God is Ayer Asher Ayah, I am that I am, or Yahweh, I am that I am. Now, if you say what the word ego originally meant, the word ego originally meant I am. That's all the word ego means, is I am. And so God is I am, and ego is I am. Ilu is God. Elo is light, and Ilu is illusion. I am is illusion. I am illusion. All concepts of I are illusions.
Yeah,
all concepts of God are illusions. And the beauty in this is we can use illusion however we have to, however we want to, for whatever we'd like to make it be. We can use I am for whatever we'd like I am to be. I am will be whatever our will is. And when we get in tune with our true will, then that's when the real magic happens. Then we start manifesting and living the life of our lucid dreams.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. Anything that deviates from the source itself, the actual unity, doesn't have conceptualization, because to have what a concept is, for something to have a concept, it has to be derived in language, derived from language. And language is what our ancestors essentially created to essentially simplify the external environment for the means of communication. Because back during the dark ages and stuff like this, when telepathy wasn't accessible to our species, we were resorted back to this verbal communication. And for us to be able to compress our environment to a certain, like, look at a tree and make a sound vibration to simplify it and create an abstraction of it, for us to be able to basically illustrate the external world into a further simplified version of itself for the purpose of communications. That's what language is. That's what language is, and that's what concepts are formed from. So anything that can be intellectually understood is understood via concepts and language, and by definition, it is a simplification of the eternal Tao, of the eternal reality. It is formless, it is shapeless, it is thoughtless, it is something that cannot be understood by the intellect of any civilization. So if something can be understood, it is at best a simplification of truth, not the eternal truth. So that being said, the entire, everything that we live is illusion, in the sense that it is not the complete reality. And exactly like you said, I am, can, and will be anything that you will it to be. Anything that you basically activate within your vibration is what is going to then become constructed. And
it's light.
Exactly.
It's light. Light will form into whatever way you want that that illumination, that that Elohim, that illusion to form into. And relating forward to the words, words, if you go to grammar, the word grammar can be found in tetragrammaton, and even if in grimoire. If you look in the ancient meaning of grammar, etymology, it will even tell you, just regular etymology, that it was occult, that it comes from the occult, that it comes from magical practices. And so let us go to the formation of words or alphabets. We look at runes, which our alphabet has been said to have many connections with, as far as the shape of the alphabets go. Runes are definitely, originally and first and foremost, were made for magical usage. You look at the first languages that all languages come from, whether it be Sanskrit, which that's the main one that a lot of the Indo-European languages come from, and that is definitely originally made for magical use, for mantra use, and for tuning into source, and for creating spells, and for rituals and ceremonies. And you have Hebrew, the Hebraic language, and all of the languages that are connected to our language were originally made for magical purpose, to be able to speak something into existence from the unseen. That was the whole purpose of language. There's no purpose of having a verbal thought or saying a word if it's not for magic, if it's not for creating a result that corresponds to our true will. There's no purpose for saying anything without that. That is the purpose of all language. Language, you have the word lingam in language. You have pencil, you have you have penis in the pencil. You have the period at the end of a sentence, and women, they know about this dot, the dots that come at with the blood at the end of a certain cycle. You have writing. You have rights. You have magical rights to. That's like a secret initiation. That's a right. You have verb. What is the word verb and verb? When we're talking about verbal, verb means like verbena. Have you ever heard of lemon verbena, the herb? And it originally meant a plant and an herb. Words actually originally meant herbs. Wort means herb as well, and you can find the word wart, the similarity between wart, like hogwarts, or what's some other mugwort. I got some mugwort right here.
Same, bro. It's the shit.
No doubt. Wart up. So these words, they're very often related to wood, to logs, and because it's the logos. You know what the logos is? The logos is the word. The logos is the word in Greek, the word that was in the beginning and was made flesh. And so we're talking about logs here. We're talking about Christ, who was a splitter of wood. He's a carpenter working with the wood. So I think it's dendritic brain cells are part of our brain, and that comes in dendrites, and that comes from means tree as well. So we can find a lot of correlations to words. There's more that I'm leaving out. You gotta get my book, Synchronistic Phonetomology, if you wanna peep all the connections to the wood, and even the sexual connections to the language. There's a lot of things in our language, in our lingo, in our lingam, that goes unpronounced. And learning how to think magically, so that our thoughts, the ideas that come into our brain, that the verbiage of these ideas supports us, that it supports making more connections, that it supports building our inner vision that is aligned with true and divine will to the outer world, and serving others with this. That is upheld easier when we get more conscious about the words we are using mentally and audibly. It's very important to know that the self-talk is where any words we say outward come from. And so to get the self-talk, the inner talk, supportive of our true will, it's a noble endeavor.
Yeah, it's definitely something that it ain't overnight. It's definitely like it's a humbling journey for sure. But one thing I want to touch upon on what you said, two things actually. First off, one, understanding that you said at the beginning, you were saying that words exist for magic. And that makes so much sense when you really realize words and concepts themselves are deviations from complete, unification. And that is to say that it is something that didn't exist that can now exist through the medium of performing magic, through mantras, through vibration, through intention, through cymatics. Exactly, all of these methods. So that's just resonated tremendously right there. And also that's exactly why it's so significant to align with, like you were saying as well, the true will. You know what I'm saying? The will that is in connection with the God force, that is in connection with the highest evolution of compassion and of, as you said at the very beginning, balancing will with love. Like, you can do whatever you will. And that is to say, somebody with a non-sovereign heart, let's just say, somebody who's detached from source consciousness, they would take that as like, oh, I could just murder people and, rob banks and all types of stuff because I will it. But that's to say that their will is not balanced with the love that allows it to reach, ultimate neutrality. To be able to align yourself with the love within yourself is to recognize that everyone around you and everything around you is a mirror of another vibrational aspect of yourself. Is to recognize that by providing the greatest benefit to that around you, like by helping others is helping yourself because they are you. And when you have this internal, epiphany and truly embody this understanding in your actions, is when the will that you naturally arises from you will intuitively and instinctively be aligned with the benefit of all of evolution in its most efficient path. Like I think we were saying earlier, like everything is a step forward. There is no step backwards. It doesn't exist. Even when you might be in this human perspective and you're like, oh, I'm falling off the path, I'm falling off, all these types of things that we tell ourselves and stuff like that. However, there are paths of least resistance. There are paths of like, if someone takes 1,000 incarnations to learn this one lesson, but you get to them at the beginning and you like really guide them towards that embodiment of that lesson, you could save them thousands of incarnations of, what I'm saying? So they're both evolution. Both of them lead to the same place, but one of them can be extraordinarily accelerated. Let's just say that. And that comes with, beings in the higher realms past the third density, fourth density. When you start to get into fifth, sixth density, they literally exist for the exclusive purpose of service to others, because they recognize that the only way for them to really move up past more evolution is to consolidate the duration of time between lessons. That's essentially, like, they talk about this in the raw material, in the Law of One texts quite frequently. They essentially say that they exist to allow beings to undergo the lessons that their soul is there it is right there, bro. I actually just gave that one to my friend. She's reading it right now. I highlighted the whole shit, man.
It's cool.
Such a gem.
You could tell I don't give my books away no more.
Yo, I'm very like choosy about who I do, because I've given a lot of books that I've never gotten back, bro. I ain't gonna hold you. The Kabbalion, yeah. I read that like a couple months ago. Like I gave that to I never saw that back. There was another book I was reading and I was just straight up in the woods and I left it there. And then the next day it rained and I was like, damn, that's a bop. I finished the book, which was good, but I was reading it again and stuff like that. But yeah, man, getting familiar with these texts, like, one thing that just intuitively came to me when we're bringing up the Law of One, right? So a lot of people that are on this path of recognizing these truths, that we're discussing here today, a lot of people attach to credibility and they attach to, like, let's say, I'm gonna just go with the word credibility. Let's say an author got this type of prestige, it's got this many reviews, type of stuff. Even people like you and me who be spreading information on the internet and really just like providing the service of giving the teachings to a wider audience and stuff like that. Like, so many people attach to that and don't allow their internal navigation to be the interpreter. You know what I'm saying? I think you even said at one point as well, despite the fact that we are, you know, aligned and whatnot, and we are within source and acting for pure intention and stuff like that, there's error that can occur. You know what I'm saying? That is just a natural byproduct of the plane that we live in. So how do you feel about people, you know, worshiping your posts like a religion type, like taking everything that you gotta say, and just people in general, you know what I'm saying? What would you say to people in regards to not just, you know, certain truth seekers, but books, documentaries, podcasts like this, like stuff like that, in terms of truth seeking, you know, like finding, how would you guide someone towards finding the ultimate truth amidst the technological age that we are, the age of information, where the truth is everywhere, but so is distortion interwoven within it?
Well, yeah, I would say just do what works. That's the only truth. And whatever works for you is true. If it don't work for you, it's not true for you. There's, as far as truth, if it's not absolute truth, then it's just a relative truth. And if it's just a relative truth, then it's personal. And if it's personal, then it's an opinion. So the only truth is beyond words. I'm not gonna say it right now because I can't. We are one with it. We are it. Everything is it. But I can't really confine it to.
I mean, Alan Watts used to always describe like the only truth is just. That's what he would always do in his lectures, yo. It's beyond words.
Right. So there's nothing really to say about it. And so then all the other things, if it's relative truth, like we said, that just means it relates to a certain group, certain time, certain space, certain model of understanding. And if it's that, we can still call it relative truth. We can still call it relative facts, but we can easily call it relative fiction as well, and relative opinions. And there's other ways to categorize what that is for having a proper understanding of those experiences, because many people are getting tricked by what they believe to be true, and it's really just a story that they're telling themselves, or a story someone else is telling them.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's really, it all comes back to what works for you.
Yeah.
What works for you. And the key to that is being in tune with you, is being in tune with your fucking self, and not attaching so much to the world of form that you identify with that, you know, maintaining your identity with the truest aspect within yourself, to recognize how something is affecting you, and really tuning in with your own energy to see, does this information, do these practices, do these teachings, does this wisdom, does it resonate with me? You know what I'm saying? And like having the ability to reflect that.
Right. What does it do for me? How does it support me? What does it do for others? Can I use this in a practical way? Can I apply it? You know, those are the questions to deal with, because, you know, Christ said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." Now, if what you knowing isn't setting you free, where you feel liberated, you feel like it's working for you, then it's not the truth. It's really that basic. It doesn't have to be any more complicated.
Absolutely, brother, for sure. And yo, before we start to head out here, because I don't even know, I haven't done a time check at all. We just got rolling with this. I would just say, what would you give as some insights towards just kind of coming out of context with this a little bit, but individuals that are learning more towards achieving a psychedelic-like state. You know, when you take psychedelics, right, you achieve a state of consciousness that a lot of people attribute to be like their godlike state, natural state of being, and whatnot. In a nutshell, what would some advice be that you could give to somebody to naturally attaining these states of being within yourself, like irregardless of the external substance, whatever it may be, recognizing one, the validity of attaining that state, and two, practical potential methods of doing so?
Well, that's easy. It's just breath work. That's what I do every day, and it gets me into the DMT microdose state. And if I do it for longer, it gets me to a full-blown DMT type of state. It's just connecting the breath. It's so simple. It's built in by infinite intelligence. That's why people overlook it, because often people are looking for things that are more complicated. They want to breathe in really hard and hold their breath really long, and they want to push the breath, do all this other stuff, and it's like, it's not necessary. All you got to do, allow gravity to exhale for you. If you just breathe in and allow gravity to exhale for you as soon as you breathe in, just like that water that hit the shore and then recede from the shore, you don't see no stop of movement. It just keep going. It's the same thing. If you could just keep breathing and devote yourself, it's a way, one, you'll get to in tune with your will and see, how strong is my will to keep breathing? How strong is my will to keep going? You'll also see, how relaxed can I be? How much do I allow on that exhalation? If you ain't letting that exhalation go, or if you're pushing it out crazy, you trying to slow it all down, trying to Eeyore your shit, it's not gonna work out for you. Or it'll work out to give you the information, the biofeedback to let you know, okay, I'm in a sighing Eeyore type of state. Let me, bounce into this Tigger state with a little, or bounce into this Winnie the Pooh state. All of those ways of breathing can support us. But the best thing that you watch your dog do, your bunnies, your rabbits, watch lizards, any type of little animals around, watch little babies, it's connected breath. You watch the earth do it. The torus, it keep moving. The in goes to the out goes to the in. That's the most transcendental psychedelic thing about our existence, underlying everything. You could actually tune into the torus just by mimicking that breath. So we'll do it real quick for 1 minute. We'll just keep the breath connected, merging the inhale to the exhale with no pauses, no breaks, no need to stop the breath. Keep it connected and allow gravity to exhale for you. No need to push the breath out. All the breath can be done. All right, let's get psychedelic. All the breath will be done through the mouth. It gets you going a little faster. Very good. Come to whatever breath feels best. Could have said this before, but if you was driving listening to this, you probably are off in a ditch. Laid out in a ditch somewhere, you know. But yeah.
It really is that simple, yo. It really is that simple. Understanding the ebbs and flows of existence. That even when you're in psychedelic states, you witness this like breathing. You see walls breathe. You see everything breathe. It's because you're witnessing the ebbs and flows that reality works through. This karmic dance. You know what I'm saying? This cosmic dance of understanding the interwoven dualities, and your interconnection with it is via the breath. It is what anchors us. You don't stop it from the moment you're born to the moment you die. In this physical incarnation, beyond that and before it, it is our connection with the dualities that perpetuate evolution, and being able to be mindful with it, being able to stay present with it, exercise the willpower, the presence, the concentration. These are all elements towards recognizing our true God realization state, and it's not something outside of us. These are simply glimpses. Any type of state, whether it is a psychedelic, whether it is hypnosis, whether it is an astral projection, whether it is any type of thing that we're kind of going outside of us to kind of like indulge in the state. It's just a glimpse of what naturally we have access to by something as simple as just breathing out the mouth and being present with it, man.
There is no outside. There's not even an outside. It's like that's the thing. There's no inside, outside in the unity. It's
just perceptions.
The inhale and the exhale. Yeah, in that Taurus, you know what I'm saying? So we just grounding in our original wholeness, unity consciousness. The breath of unity consciousness is just to unite both sides of the breath, no pauses, no need to pause and separate it. Just go for it. Why not go for it? If you set out to go for it for an hour and you stop, what made you stop? Who made you stop? You know what I'm saying? So it's a great thing to work with. But yo, ladies, it was great. It was great to
have
this opportunity to build. You know what I'm saying? I know we got some music coming out soon.
Yes, sir. Tunes for Ascension, the album featuring brother Illuminati Congo, as well as light workers from all around the country, quite frankly. Some of them outside of the country. It's always an honor, bro. It's always an honor, always a learning experience for sure. Such a beautiful exchange of energy for sure, brother, and just excited to continue to build. Recognize, respect, honor, and love everything that you do for yourself, for your loved ones, for the planet, for the evolution of existence, brother. And it's truly an honor to be here with you and to do this divine work for ourselves, for the planet, with each other, bro, to co-create these incredible, whether it is music, whether it is podcasts, whether it is whatever it's going to take form down the line, bro. It truly is an honor to share space with you, bro.
Most definitely, G. And I'm grateful you're making these opportunities for I and I to bring these ideas to the forefront and to just get a chance to build. You know what I'm saying?
Beautiful, brother. It's been an honor, bro.
Yes,
I'm gonna send you blessings, love, light, abundance, all your way, brother. You deserve all of it. Gratitude for you, my friend.
I receive it, and it's reflected to you. We manifest it, multiply it, and we send it to all of our relations and bring it everywhere we go.
Love it, brother. I love it, man. Yo, blessings, brother.
Peace. Thank you.
Namaste, bro.